Brother, are you all right?
No, I am not all right. I just shared a bottle of Kanar with Damar. That rhymes.
You're drunk.
Of course I'm drunk.
If you are drunk this early, you're my kind of people. Greetings and salutations, everyone. Yes, you are not confused. We are live a little bit early because, well, I fucking felt like it. And plus it helped bring someone back onto the panel who's been, I don't know, busy mixing shit and blowing shit up. I mean, how are things in the Reich lately?
Well, you know that I'm no longer in Germany, right?
Yeah, I know, but hey, that doesn't mean the command hasn't relocated.
I shall return soon, by the way, so yay. Yeah, as you know, I've been quite busy recently, you know, getting a PhD, which kind of takes a lot of your time. So I haven't been able to join a lot of hangouts, especially in your end.
Yeah, something about time zones and scheduling kind of being a bastard. Eh. Oh well. We made it work this time, so we're all good. And it'll actually end up being... Wait. Is this a bad omen or oddly prophetic that the day we get you back on the panel, somewhere in the world, a massive fucking volcanic explosion happens?
I mean, it's probably a coincidence, hopefully.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Judging from the three of us that are on the panel right now, that could be a bad omen. But you know what? If it is, fuck it. I'll have a good time with it.
Well, if we see it like this, there's, well, rising issues with the Russians. A fucking island just exploded. And then Gao's on the panel here. Yes, something isn't right.
So let's see, we have a big natural catastrophe, a dictator on the rise, then issues with Russia, and an island blowing up.
Yep. Strap in, everyone. It's going to be one hell of a ride this year.
I'm really, really curious to see how the island looks now. Satellite imagery doesn't show anything because the dust cloud is in the way. But my bet is that the loose part that lightly slid into the caldera is probably completely gone.
You know, I'd say that kind of, you know, tells you what it looks like right now. Shit's dusty as fuck, yo.
Yeah. And to think, we are still without communications to the inhabited island nearby.
Well, not completely, but mostly. By the way, did you hear anything, Leon?
Nope.
Well, apparently the explosion could be heard in Alaska, which is 9,500 kilometers away. So there were estimations that it might be audible from Europe, but apparently it wasn't, which is a shame.
Oh, you'll get a kick out of this one, Gale. Intellectual iconoclasm. I haven't built my bunker yet. The world isn't allowed to do this yet. Well, that's what you get for putting it off. But then again, I know you've had other things that have taken priority. But with all of that we've had going on, and for those who may have actually remembered what is in the thumbnail, we have Captain Pimp Hand himself there for good reason. But yes, we have...
What was Riker doing? Riker was made a captain recently? Did I miss anything?
Well, he was made a captain back at... Well, they announced it at the beginning of Star Trek Nemesis, but it wasn't official until after the movie.
Yeah, but no, you know, Riker never appeared in any media anymore after Nemesis was over.
Until Star Trek Picard.
Star Trek what?
Picard.
Star Trek what?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those series. Although he did show up on Lower Decks as a captain in a
So you
dream
finally
sequence.
watched Lower Decks?
I've seen enough of it to know that it's more tolerable than the other two.
To be honest, it's fine. It's a new twist, obviously, and I think they, considering the format change, I think they did an okay job. I have no major complaints.
Of the two animated series, it is the better of the two.
Yeah, but
Is
that's
that
not
really-
really that hard.
I mean, that's kind of like saying everyone's opinion is valid, and then you have people doing heroin. Some things aren't as bad as other things.
How many episodes did you watch?
I didn't watch the last couple simply because life and the COVID got in the way.
Yeah. Well, in both seasons, or did you just watch the first?
Caught the entirety of the first, most of the second.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. The last one of the second season is pretty good, though. I would definitely recommend it.
I will give Lower Decks this other bit of praise. The way they handled the exocomp, I liked.
Oh yeah, Peanut Hamper, that fucking asshole.
Yeah, and essentially the exocomp saying, "Fuck this, I'm out." It's like, hey, that's survival 101. If
It had
you
a little bit of kind of a Wheatley quality to it. Did you notice that?
Yeah. That's where, over the run, Lower Decks did get better. I still take issue with the way some of the characters are acting, because it's a little too much modern day persona and attitudes.
Fair enough. Who's your favorite character?
I'd have to say the Bajoran security officer.
Shax. Yes, I agree. I just found out today that the same voice actor who plays him actually also voiced the tank in Left 4 Dead.
That makes a lot of fucking sense.
Yes, it does.
But that isn't so much what we're here to talk about. Our topic this week is more of a broad one. Leon?
Well, this is actually something that we talked about it a week and a half ago, some shit like that. After a bit of a trying to figure out what exactly it is that makes some shows feel like the shows they're actually supposed to be, and what makes other installments in some series or franchise not feel like it. And I'd like to title this The Orville Effect. We have something that so closely follows the spirit of the show, or so closely follows the spirit of the franchise, the series, that it can be a completely different franchise, completely different series, but they manage to capture uh, the same qualities, the same aspects that made that one series good. For example, the Orville, that is, in everything but name, Star Trek. It is, to its core, a Trek story. It is a Trek show. Everything in it is Star Trek, except for the name, except for, well, everything that couldn't really be used due to copyright. Whereas you have something like STD now, that is, well, a pain in the ass, but it's also not Trek. That they've tried to take away everything that made Star Trek, and then expected people to have it with it.
Well, it seems like the studio anticipated people to accept it simply because it had the Star Trek name and label attached to it. Did they not realize the backlash that Nemesis got?
No, they did not. But this is also something that you can see in, let's say, other franchises. When you have something like Dark Mirror, like Black Mirror, we have season 1 and season 1 and 2, where everything seems to be slightly off. Everything seems to be a very small look into this world that we don't understand. It's so completely different from our world today that you can't even really imagine what's going on. You don't get enough of it to understand what's going on. And then all of a sudden you have the third season, you have the rest of it, where it starts getting more and more into, dare I say, Americanized storytelling, where it is more and more shallow. It's more and more, we need to give you all of this up front. We need to explain everything. Everything needs to be so dumbed down in a sense that it isn't really the show it's supposed to be anymore. We also have this in different TV series. Well, not TV series, but more movie series. Like Star Wars. We have the first 3 Star Wars movies that are, well, the classic Star Wars. There's no denying that. Then we have the prequel trilogy, which is, to a certain degree, Star Wars, depending on which one of them you look at. But it's something where they try to focus on the wrong things to actually make it feel properly like Star Wars. And then you had those movies that came after. And we don't really talk about those. They aren't Star Wars at all. But then you have the shows. Star Wars, The Clone Wars, was one of the most faithful adaptations of Star Wars in a series format that you can never get. You have The Mandalorian, that also managed to capture Star Wars, that managed to capture what Star Wars is. And now you have the Book of Boba Fett, that's undecided so far as to where they are. In all these cases, you have a franchise, you have an idea, you have a core.
A core identity.
Yeah. And in some cases, with all these, the identity, the soul, the core of it, is captured in other franchises. Whereas in other cases, no one can replicate it, not even the franchise itself. I think this is also why we see some things that we really do like. We can't put our fingers on it because it's nothing that we've really seen before. It's nothing that we can directly say, oh yeah, this is why I really like this. But it is at its core something that we do or that we have seen before. Something that we have experienced before, but in another format.
Yeah, I think when we started talking about this and in the time since, there were 2 phrases that came to mind for me. One of them, the initial one, was actually, I found it coined by Doomcock on Overload DVD, where he started ending most points of his criticism of certain franchises with the phrase, without respect, we must reject. which I do agree with, and would even tone it down to something a little more palatable. There needs to be artistic respect when carrying on a franchise, and it does seem that some producers, some directors, some writers are able to do that, and some are not. And what's really interesting, the examples that you cited, the ones that you listed where there was failure to show that respect to the establishing and prior entries of the franchise, all have a common denominator. J.J. Abrams, Alex Kurtzman, and Bad Robot.
For some reason.
It's interesting how, especially Kurtzman, can...
Yeah, he's just a franchise ruiner.
Yeah, I have yet to find a franchise that he has come in at any point, after it was already founded by someone else, that he's actually done well with it. He's criticized in the Transformers community. He's damn near ruined the Star Trek community to the point where me, a lifelong Trekkie, am saying, no, the franchise needs to die for at least 5 years. For it to have any hope of maintaining its profitability, for maintaining its palatability, it needs to die and go away for at least 5 years.
I don't think 5 years is enough.
That's why I said at least. Granted, a lot of shit can happen in 5 years that, yes, prior references will still be referenced by some people, but follow me on this one. After the current run of series that they have already coming out, they stop for 5 years. All production, everything except the other licensed instances of Star Trek, like Star Trek Online, Fleet Command, those standalone properties.
Yeah, all the beta stuff can stay, obviously.
That sort of beta stuff, the fanfic stuff, they keep doing their own thing because they're not being run by CBS. But CBS stops and leaves it alone for a minimum of 5 years. I would agree and argue that closer to 10 would be better. And then take your fucking time vetting who you bring as the producer to even just evaluate whether or not it can be brought back and be an accepted, profitable franchise again.
Well, if given the choice, who would you bring in?
If you're not going to give it the time, McFarlane.
I tend to agree, yeah. I really love how... did you see all of his other projects in the meantime, apart from the Orville? Like, for example, Ted and Ted 2?
I've watched Ted. I've only caught bits and pieces of Ted 2. But
he keeps on casting old Star Trek actors. Like in Ted 2, for example, they had Nana Visitor play the adoption agent.
Well, and not just the actors who've been in Trek. He goes into other sci-fi franchises too, because he brought in Flash Gordon.
Yes. He also wrote the Mars Vegas song for Futurama.
Yeah. So that is one thing about McFarlane, is when he decides to reference an existing property, yes, he has his own style of humor and everything, that if it's his own organic, created show and environment, you're going to have that humor in there. It's his property, there's going to be something like that there. But every time he has stepped into someone else's realm, he's done it faithfully. I mean, hell, he took an unaccredited scene appearance in Star Trek Enterprise just because he's that much of a Trekkie. Didn't care that he wasn't going to be accredited in the credits of that episode. He was just a random engineering officer on the Columbia.
But this is also something, though, with McFarlane. I think that he has fallen victim to his own success with Family Guy. As in, some things are expected of his shows, but some people actually watch it.
Yeah, but that's probably true. But he got it perfectly right with the Orville.
Yeah.
After the first half of season 1, yes.
Well, not just that. So keep in mind, it's not just Family Guy that he's cut his teeth on like that. There's also American Dad, which has slightly different but still a similar comedic tropes to it. And that's actually that's probably one of the most frustrating bits when you really look back at all of this. You have Sir Patrick Stewart voicing Deputy Director Bullock in American Dad, but then we get that fucking shit in an actual Picard series? What the fuck?
Wasn't part of that, though, that Patrick Stewart actually got more and more of his own creative input into the series?
Yeah, he was one of the lead creators of the series, which makes it all the more frustrating because it's like, has he gone senile to the point that he doesn't remember what his character actually stood for?
Yeah, my hypothesis is that maybe he got a little bit senile. I wanted to rewatch TNG, just to keep it back in memory a bit. But then he stopped after season 1.
Yeah, even then, that doesn't explain... That doesn't explain the sheer fucking hubris in that series.
It actually does, though.
Is
Because
there
in an old interview...
Is there a single old TNG era character in Picard that they didn't ruin? I mean, let's just start counting, right? So Bruce Maddox, dead, and completely fucked up before that. 7 of 9. What the fuck?
Well,
Ichep
yeah,
also dead.
Oh, not just dead, brutalized and tortured first.
Yep. Taken apart
Hugh.
like 2004 Honda Accord.
Hugh, dead.
Yes, also.
And who? Let's look at the characters that Picard is left surrounded with at the end of that season. A murderer, a drug addict. What would you classify the fucking owner of the ship?
The owner of the you mean what's his name?
Forgettable.
Oh god. I'm thinking Fernando Esparza, but that's the guy from the new Halo game, so that doesn't count.
No,
That's the same kind of character.
The fucking narcissist that made every hologram in his ship look like him.
Yeah, but to be honest, name one professional hologram designer who didn't do that.
But he didn't design it. He bought it and said, just use me as the template.
I'd say Barclay. I mean, considering how many holograms he's designed, he is professional at this point.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? That's actually a fair point, but Barclay's weird. But just look at the Zimmerman. How many holograms did he design after himself?
Yeah, when you think about it, every first iteration of a hologram is designed, at least in large part, by its designer. They use themselves as a template. Just look at the EMH.
To be honest, though, it's kind of easier to do that since you already have them all right there.
But that's why it makes sense for your first iteration to be like that. But these holograms that the fucking dipshit has on his ship aren't first iterations. He literally went to someone who provides them, bought the programs off of them, And when asked, oh, what do you want them to look like? Just make them all look the same. Yeah, but how? Fuck it, just me. There's a bit of latent narcissism there, and a bit of self-loathing because how abusive he is to the holograms.
To be honest, though, in a situation like that, what are the chances that you would not have them look like, let's say, scantily clad versions of something that you would actually rather look at?
Oh, you mean go Harry Mudd on it?
Wow.
I mean, why would you even design them to be humanoid in the first place? Isn't that shape, after all, pretty useless?
Oh,
Nice to look at.
Well, it depends, because there are times, like the therapist model, where a human shape and a human delivery makes sense.
The therapist model is another complete new kind of fucked up.
Now, I kind of see it like this, though. As in, every time I play a game that is going to be in third person, I'd rather have a female model than a male. Because if I'm going to stare at this motherfucker's ass for fucking 100 hours, why not make it something that's actually nice to look at?
To be honest, whenever I play something like Fallout 4, where I have to design my character, I design them after myself, but then I notice that they can't add enough fat, so then I usually stop.
You need to go into mods.
Probably.
But this entire thing, though, just going back, Patrick Stewart had an interview, I can't remember if it was 20 years ago or some shit like that, talking about what he really wanted. And I can't remember exactly what he said. It was something about having a swashbuckling adventure where he actually got romance, etc. too. And we had women, or he had a woman doing, how was it he said? It was something. Not getting undressed for him, not kissing him. It was some shit that it was more along the lines of what you'd expect from Picard now.
To be honest, what I think Patrick Stewart would probably want is probably pretty identical to the scene where Picard ends up in the Nexus.
That really would be the best. I'm thinking about how they've handled that show to begin with. It really should not have been about Jean-Luc Picard, retired fucking asshat himself. It should have been about a ship named for Picard. And then you can actually develop... Wait a minute. That's the problem. They'd have to develop new characters, and they've shown themselves to be fucking incapable of it.
This is actually just taking that now and developing new characters. This kind of goes back to the topic at hand too. What two franchises have we watched last year that have been so diametrically opposite in how they handle the source material, yet being so different in how they executed it?
If you really want to go to extreme ends for comparison's sake, on one end, you have Star Trek Picard. On the other end, you have the Foundation.
I don't know. Last year, you had another one. Not
Is it
Picard.
Dune?
Yes.
Well, if you want to cross media and go from small screen and big screen as well, yeah. I just look at those two. Because, so Gail, I don't know if you saw me put this challenge out, but I put it out there a couple times on Twitter and, even here on YouTube. Asking people to explain what is going on and what is the foundations of the Dune universe using only material from the from the new movie.
Oh god, is it sandworms? To be honest, I haven't seen the new Dune movie yet.
You get a...
You haven't missed a lot.
You get a very, very cursory understanding of some of the factions at play, but the motivations are muddled. A lot of people seem to forget that at its core, Dune is a political thriller that plays out over many millennia in the entire timeline of the source material. But you get none of the real political intrigue in this movie. None. The only way that it's actually understandable is if you go into watching the movie already with at least a basic understanding of what factions are what and why are they having the issues with each other.
And that's really what's making it so fucking different now to Foundation. Foundation, as in the new TV series, has changed a lot from the source material. There have been gender swaps, there have been race swaps, there have been major changes in the plot. There have been a fuck ton of different changes. But it's still Foundation. Dune, with trying to be so trying to be so close to the source material, is still not Dune. Dune is missing the point as to what Dune is all about. Foundation knows exactly what Foundation is about, and they drove it home. Every little change in Foundation, whether it be something like a gender swap or a race swap, is something that has been thought out. Every little change is something that is there for a reason. Let's take one of the main protagonists, Gale Dornick. In their original book, Gale Dornick was a man. Sure, getting into the employ of Harry Seldon, but still a man. In the Foundation series, it is a girl. Instead of coming from a planet that, they have a lot of mathematicians and stuff, that's, quite famous for actually having a lot of those kinds of things on it, or that kind of knowledge. Instead, she comes from a world where mathematicians are, let's say, removed to the bottom of the ocean as it is. There are many, many, many changes. But the reason that she was changed was so that she could, or Gale Dornick was changed, was so that Gale Dornick could become the partner of Harry Seldon's helper, Rach. Or Rach, not Rach. And in this case, it's something that actually works. The whole thing works because of the way it's being set up. Because later down the line, you have Sal Harden also changed to being a girl. But, and kind of spoilers, this is also related to what's happening earlier in the series. It's not just something that's a throwaway thing just for the sake of it. It's not something like Liet Kynes, where it was all touted to be, oh yes, but we need to do this to explore the mother-daughter relationship in a way that couldn't be done with old Liet Kynes. No, that's bullshit. It wasn't explored. It wasn't looked upon. You wouldn't fucking know about it if you didn't know it from the book. They handle this completely differently. Foundation just took everything, essentially. They took all the characters, they took the setting, they took everything, and they mixed shit around. But they did it with respect to the book. They did it with respect to the series, their franchise. They didn't just do it randomly, hoping that things would actually work out in the end. And it paid off. Just looking at something like Emperor Cleon, or the genetic, how it's called, the genetic dynasty. Those are some of the most memorable characters from the entire series, and they were done expertly.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is when you look at the offerings, when you actually compare Dune 2021 and how it relates to the source material and the Foundation as it relates to its source material, one of them you still get the main story. You still actually can follow along and understand what's going on, why, and as it's revealed to you, the motivations for certain people and why the story is moving in the direction that it is. You don't get that with Dune. Pretty much the story you get in Dune is exceptionally superficial. The Baron doesn't like the Duke. The Baron wants to kill the Duke. The Baron gets help from the Emperor, kinda, to kill the Duke. And there's something with Paul. That's pretty much all the story that you get from Dune 2021 when you stick with just what they put on screen. You get references to the Bene Gesserit. You get references to the Padishah Emperor. But you don't actually know what those mean or why they matter. And there are other actual character developing story points that were in the book, that were in the David Lynch version, that were completely removed from the 2021 version.
Yeah, going back to what's actually important in it, what actually makes Dune Dune. Okay, just with the new Dune movie, what exactly is it that the Emperor wants?
In Dune, actually, from the books, I mean, I can
No,
explain
from the
that
movie.
from the movie. You don't fucking know. No one knows what the Emperor wants because the Emperor is only ever alluded to.
And even then, if we take the other things, why is the Atreides so important? Why are the Harkonnen just trying to attack the Atreides? Why is it a big deal, for example, that they got the fiefdom of the planet? Why are all these things important? There's no sense of importance in Dune. There's nothing explaining to you why it is important. It's like saying, oh yes, keep track of this basketball. It's important. No, it's not. It's a basketball. It has no other properties. If someone says, take this volleyball, it's important. No, it's not. Until someone slaps a red hand on it and fills it with twigs. Neither of these things are important until they're actually bestowed some kind of importance.
Or
Otherwise,
there's context, and the context in Dune 2021 was never given.
Yeah, because something like the fucking bull, and this is something that still pisses me off. The bull that is shown in the palace, or the small figurine with the bull and the other character, They're shown so often. The fucking bull's head. These are shown, but there's no fucking way of knowing why they're shown if you haven't read the book. If you don't know the source material, you're shit out of luck. They're just some random bull. You might catch on to it being related to the father or grandfather there somehow, but you won't know why really. You won't know exactly why it is that this is actually something that is of importance. But they decided to keep that in. Other things, like the fucking bombs, that still pisses me off, they completely missed the mark on what made them important. These are things that aren't... they're not executed in a way that's faithful to the source material. They do not understand the spirit of Dune. They're trying to take something from the book, or from the earlier movie, and they're trying to make something more out of it than it actually is. And in doing so, what they're really doing is they're bastardizing the source material.
Yeah, I will give Villeneuve this. Going with the grand scale of the visuals was a proper choice. Was a great move. But you missed the mark in so many other parts of the movie that visual presence and presentation alone doesn't make up for the deficiencies.
No, but it's like someone making a hamburger, and they have seen hamburgers. They know what hamburgers kind of look like, but they don't understand them.
No, let's go with the actual allegory you want to go with there. It's like some hick in the middle of Africa trying to make a helicopter out of random car parts that he has around him because he's seen a picture of an Apache.
Yeah, that works. Well,
You know, there's actually a religion based on that, right?
Oh, not just that, Gayo. On YouTube, there are a bunch of African engineering fails where it is people in populated areas of Africa trying to build their own helicopters simply because they've seen them in a magazine or a book.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I expect a lot of sad yet kind of hilarious injuries from that one.
Luckily, I'd say that they don't actually get to the point where they can get properly injured by it, unless it falls on them. If you have something like a proposed helicopter driven with a lawnmower engine, that's the weight of a fucking car and a half. There's not that many accidents that can actually happen outside of getting hit by one of the rotor blades.
Okay, Jared. Is it worse in design than what I just sent you?
No, that's about par for the course.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I
Just for the audience, I just sent him a picture of Peter Griffin's self-made electric razor.
the the razor blades on a regular desk fan. Yeah.
Homemade Navi helicopter. Oh God.
Yes.
Oh, this is sad.
I know. And as well here to the audience, I'm just going to put this inside chat so you can understand exactly what it is that we're talking about.
Jesus, the what's the top tumbling disc? I think the thing that sets the rotor blade pitch. That's bad.
All of it is bad.
I think it's just one solid welded block.
Here's the thing. That's one of the cleaner examples.
It is a lot worse.
It's almost on par with an Italian car.
But these things right here, African helicopters and 2021 Dune, are about on par with the way that they represent the material. They have seen the source material, they have seen what it looks like, they've seen some of the function, but they don't understand it. They don't understand how it works. They don't understand the lift to weight ratio. They don't understand shit like mode capacity. They don't understand shit like maximum lift.
Are you sure that they're just ignorant, or is it more a case of just not giving a fuck? Just trying to make a quick buck while not really respecting the heritage of the franchise? Because that's the feeling I get from the new Star Wars movies.
I'd say it's a bit of both with Dune. Because Dune comes across to me as something that would be it would be a massive, hey, look, I remember that. I recognize that. To someone who's read the book, to someone who's well familiar with the franchise. In and of itself, as a movie, it doesn't really do much. It's a string of memes, loosely connected to the actual story of the book. It doesn't really have that much to do with the book in and of itself, the form that it is right now. With the newer Star Wars movies, yeah, I'm gonna say that's actually someone just trying to make a quick buck, or someone trying to prove something because they could tell that they're just a one, and then they kind of let people who don't know what the fuck they're doing deal with shit, which is sad. Really fucking sad. But even then, looking at this kind of shit, looking at Dune, looking at the new Star Wars movies, looking at Picard or STD, with all of these, they do not respect the source material. They have no respect for what they're trying to portray. Which is why something like the Orville and the Orville Effect, when you see something where they actually do respect the ideas, the core of it, the soul of it, it's refreshing. It's really something that tells you that there are people who know what the fuck they're doing. And people who, if we were to hand it over to them instead, I think they could actually do something good out of it. But it won't really happen today. It won't likely happen this fucking decade, the way that things are going right now. But it could happen.
Now, I will say this. We are starting to get more frequent, newer offerings that are actually good from main Hollywood and major media, so it would still be a while, but it might actually be sooner than initially expected. Because keep in mind, the latest Spider-Man movie was actually good the way they integrated the other two presentations of the character on film in movies.
I have yet to see it, but I'm going to have to take your word for it there. And then again, the MCU really has to start working on its shit. They have managed to sink themselves quite a bit, just in the way that they've been doing shit. If you look at the MCU movies, looking from Iron Man and forward, what has your general just view, idea of them been?
Better than average. You have the occasional dud that was a meh movie at best, but overall better than most other offerings, especially when it comes to superhero movies. However, after say around the time of Infinity Wars and Endgame, when they started going towards solo movies of other characters that were not part of that main initial phase 1 and phase 2, there's been more flops and failures than previously. Look at Black Widow, look at Legends of the Ten Rings. Out of the movies that have come out in the past couple of years, the main one that has actually been a success, both financially and from a viewer standpoint, has been the most recent Spider-Man movie.
To be honest, I stopped giving a fuck about what's it called, MCU, after probably Iron Man 3. I really don't care. The franchise is so overloaded, or the entire topic is so overloaded that I couldn't care less.
But that's really one of the issues with the MCU. It's oversaturated with heroes. I can understand wanting to make something like a Marvel comic-esque, just gathering all the heroes in one place. But it's really fucking hard to do it in a movie.
But so many, how many movies were there over the last decade? 20?
Is that enough?
I don't know.
I
stopped caring.
I'm pretty sure they've done more than that, because it's been more than 2 a year average.
Jesus Christ! No, it's not fun anymore. Just stop it. Ugh.
No, but this is the thing. The ones that have actually been entertaining, the ones that have actually been something that's been worth watching, have been the ones where they've gone with something outlandish. Like Thor Ragnarok. Or Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy was okay.
Yeah.
So was Deadpool.
I think Deadpool was okay. The first one was at least was good. It wasn't completely true to the source material, but it was okay. Deadpool 2, you can't suppress Deadpool's powers by giving him a fucking collar. He isn't a mutant. He's got cancer. Even the fucking X-Men tells him time and time again, he's not a fucking mutant. He can't be part of the X-Men.
Yeah, because he wasn't a mutation. He was an experiment.
Yeah.
Experiment gone wrong. You know, just like my little brother. And probably myself as well.
Oh, just be happy you're not twins. No, but with things like that, you have so many of the inconsistencies towards the source material in Deadpool 2. In Deadpool 1, I could kind of see it as we need to try to revamp this, to reboot it in a way that we can actually get audiences to understand it.
And actually let the movie be made.
Yeah. Which Deadpool has a lot of portrayals in the comic books, but none like the one with Ryan Reynolds. Either in the Wolverine movie, which let's just not talk about that one, or in the Deadpool movie. And I don't know if it's for the better. Because looking at it, in Deadpool, what do you actually understand of the character? What would you say that his main trait is? Or main personality trait?
He's a comically offensive asshole.
Yep,
Yeah, but-
that summarizes it pretty nicely.
But with that, is he self-aware of it? Is it something where he is in control of it?
Oh, yes, I think so.
Not entirely, but I would say he is aware of it, maybe not to the point of being able to control it.
No, because the way that I see him in the movies is that he is he's aware of what he is aware of where he is.
But he doesn't
Whereas-
have the interest in being different or being seen as a better person. He has that self-awareness of, no, this is who I am. I don't care if you like it or not. This is who I am.
But at the same time, he's zany. Deadpool in the comics goes from being completely unaware of exactly what he is to being to understanding that he doesn't really have any kind of self-control over it, knowing that the only way they can break out of out of the prison there is by killing every single fucking character in his universe and outside of his universe too. But Deadpool in the comics isn't just one character. Deadpool in the comics is essentially 3 characters in one. It's like, well, 3 voices in a really fucking cancerous body.
Well, imagine Venom with an initial 2 symbiotes instead of 1.
Yeah, but the thing really with Deadpool, and something that I feel like they missed the mark on, Deadpool isn't sane. He is, by all accounts, fucking insane. He is unreliable. He is really fucking hard to deal with because he, from one moment to the other, can switch from being the kindest, the sweetest, the most helpful being fucking ever, feeding his own flesh to someone so that they can regain their strength, not wanting them to know what he's doing because he still wants them to be better, to, well, murdering an entire universe because he wants to get out.
Yeah, but you do have to admit, it is rather difficult to show that sort of character disparity in a movie you're trying to make money off of.
Oh, but that's
A
thing.
live action movie, mind you.
But that's the thing. They had the first movie. I can understand the first movie being safe. I can understand the first movie being what people might think that Deadpool is. But then you have the second movie. And sure, it does have its good parts. But they could have actually delved into it in such a way that you could then have a miniseries actually showing Deadpool for what Deadpool actually is. But they didn't. The second movie is to Deadpool what Borderlands 2 is to Borderlands. It was way more fucking memes. It was way more, hey, look at this. Isn't this so random? Right.
Well, actually, hang on. What about looking at it this way? Deadpool suffers from the same issue as Highlander. The second movie doesn't exist.
Pretty much, I can see that. But it's something where even Highlander had an animated show that was actually not shit.
Ah, yes, Quentin MacLeod.
Yeah, but everything like that. Even the what's it called? The animated movie. I can't remember the name of it. It was actually not too shit either. But with that, you do have the high points. You do have all the things where they explore it more. They show more of what's actually going on. And they can do it faithfully. With Deadpool, it feels like a money grab or a cash grab. It feels like something where some studio executive has realized, oh shit, we can make money on this. And after that, it doesn't really matter what exactly is going on. They just make the money and then say, well, fuck you.
Well, and I was going to ask, how much of it is a studio executive level maybe not fear of failure, but reluctance to risk failing from a financial standpoint that is affecting how a lot of these properties are being handled.
I'd say sadly too much of it. Which is... It's really sad considering that they are the ones with the fucking property rights. Had it not been something where it was unlocked property, I don't think this would be as much of an issue. Because looking at it, take something like, let's say, Star Trek. What happened to Star Trek to actually spark more of an interest to Star Trek again? The Orville happened. It's kind of sad, but it's the truth with that.
It wasn't just the Orville. The Orville is where your legacy fandom gravitated its support because it was that spiritual successor. But even before that, when the Orville was in the works and got announced, there were 2 other projects that were also announced in the works.
Both of which were horrible.
No. One was horrible. One of them got shafted because that other one was horrible. You had Discovery and Axanar.
Alright, well, if you count Axanar, then yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, Picard got announced, I think, a year later. Is that possible?
Yes. Picard was announced almost a year later. But when you look at when the Orville went into its production phase after being accepted, that's around the time Discovery was in its pre-production work, and CBS did not like how little attention Discovery was getting, especially how little positive attention it was getting, because Prelude to Axanar was a thing. That fan production was getting more support, more praise, and was getting people who have worked on Star Trek in the past willing to volunteer their time or take guild minimum to work on it and to be a part of it. Because that fan production was being far more faithful to the source material given the time period that both entities were going to be overlapping in. They had far more accuracy and less potential continuity fuck-ups in Axanar than even the initial production planning of Discovery was.
Do you remember that interview with one of the guys from Discovery where he says, "Oh, there's so much continuity to look for, but we make sure we get it absolutely right"?
Wasn't that the first producer that got fired?
Could be. But then you overlap it with the actual, list of errors that they made. Just things like, getting the insignia on the uniforms wrong, shit like that. Ugh, seriously, why? Fucking oops.
Like the latest Major Grin movie or video type deal. When more people don't have fucking hair.
There's a good comment in the side chat also. We had the Galaxy Quest TV show before Snipe died.
I was not aware of Galaxy Quest being made into a TV show.
There was one in early planning, but then Rickman passed away and it didn't go anywhere.
See, that would have been another one that, because of the obscurity of the franchise, because of the relative obscurity of the IP, that would have been handled faithfully and would have had a fuck ton of fandom overlap with Legacy Star Trek.
Yes, it would have. I mean, the movie was good. Heck, it's better than probably most of the uneven numbered Star Trek movies.
And even
apart from 3.
Yeah. Standalone 3 is a slog of a movie, but when you go from 2, 3 into 4, if you actually watch them as one cohesive story between all three of them,
Then they're fine.
yeah.
I agree.
What?
Iconoclasm pointed out that was the same time CBS went after all fan productions. Yeah, but it was because of Axanar. Axanar was getting such a glut of funding being donated to them, they were able to start their own entire production studio. And that's what really raised the ire of CBS. But rather than it be completely punitive against this one creator, CBS Legal actually got it right, and they had to start going after and limiting all fan productions to be treated the same. Honestly, I think CBS should have just dumped who was running Discovery, scrap the program, and bring on Axanar as an official project. That would have been the wise choice.
You still haven't seen the German Star Trek parody, have you?
Have not been able to find it.
German? Oh, fuck that. You need to go with the Finnish one. Star Trek.
Are you talking about Star Trek?
Yes.
From the same guy who ended up making Iron Sky?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard about it. I've not seen it, but it sounds promising.
Oh, it's fucking great.
There's another franchise that ruined with the second movie.
Which ones?
Iron Sky 2.
They made a second one?
Yeah, it's horrible.
They made a second one?
I just told you, Jared. Yes, and it's horrible.
Now, think about how many movies are out there that have a sequel that people just don't acknowledge that the sequel even exists.
Just a while ago, I saw the worst sequel ever. From a sequel of a movie that's actually really good. Any guesses? It's also science fiction.
Atlantis.
No.
The Thing?
No. It's
Oh, wait.
Starship Troopers 2.
Oh,
Sequel,
yeah.
amazing.
That one was...
Absolutely horrible. It was 90 minutes of absolute boredom.
Who was that?
The third installment does get better.
Yes, the third one was better, but the second one, no. I'm never gonna watch that movie ever again. It was absolutely disgusting.
But outside of Home Alone, Star Wars, Star Trek, and
Home Alone.
Indiana Jones, what movie series or what franchises have there been where there has been a good and competent second movie?
A good
were the
and
second
competent
movie?
second movie. Tremors. I like the second one. After that, it got worse.
I can give you Tremors. Oh. It's tough to think of. Well, I'm going to exclude Lord of the Rings. Simply
Yeah,
because.
that's a trilogy to begin with.
That's in its own sort of analytical spectrum because it needed to be a trilogy to begin with. It wasn't, hey, let's make this movie. Oh shit, it was successful and people want it. People want more material. Let's do another.
Good question.
Godfather 2, maybe I can agree with that one. One that I know on the sci-fi side that people might mention that I would not agree with, RoboCop.
Indiana Jones.
I did say to exclude that one because that one is still good.
The second, yeah. I actually like the third one more than the second.
Yeah,
That's
but
just a Sean Connery or
Nah, it might have to do with a particular scene in a cave. You know,
And that's really hard, isn't it?
well, when you think about it, so hang on, you no, you did already mention Star Wars as the second one actually still being good. I mean, it really narrows it.
Oh, fuck you, Iconoclasm. We do not talk about that one.
Die Hard.
Yeah, Die Hard 2 was...
That's good.
Yeah, Die Hard 2 was good.
So was 3. I really liked 3.
Yeah, Die Hard is one of those franchises that wasn't planned to be multiple movies at the outset, but actually ended up being good. A good first movie and a good second movie.
Actually,
And again,
What
a
do you
good
think
third
about
one.
that
But
one?
4 is and 5 is complete garbage.
while you think about that one, and just addressing the second Highlander movie. The second Highlander movie isn't, by its base story, a bad movie. It's the execution of the whole fucking thing that's just shit. Because they took parts that were actually in the first one, as in being able to grow old and shit like that. But then they butchered it. They tried to add so much more. And then they completely fucking lost the plot.
Well, hang on. With that, here's where I will completely dump on Highlander 2, because how the fuck do you go from we're a race of immortals, we were born here, we will die here, and there can be only one. Until then, you will not die. How do you go from that to, oh, no, we're aliens from a planet called Zeist?
You don't. Which, the base premise of it, I can see where they came from. They saw a hint of a promise in that we can actually exploit this being said in the first movie and make a second movie out of it. He has now won the prize. He gets to grow old. But why in the fuck would you then have it so that General Gitan can send men after him?
Yeah.
Why not have it so that, oh yes, he's grown old. He has now died. He has come back to where he came from, reincarnated as he was. And it turns out everything that happened there was a test from someone else. Now he sees what's going on. Now he sees his mistakes from a completely different point of view. Now he can actually go back, or he can choose to go back, giving up the new life that he has in order to fix the mistakes that he made as a Highlander.
Guys, it's getting kind of late. Yeah, I soon have to head out.
Yeah, no, we're going to be calling it a show probably in the next 15 to 20 minutes anyways. But so there are two other mentions from the chat, that one new, one older, that I actually do have to agree with.
Lethal Weapon, yeah.
Lethal Weapon 2 is good. I mean, that blonde chick, good casting choice. And for a more recent one, I would agree about Dark Knight, but I don't know if that really was in that vein of, they made the first one, it was a success, so let's make the second one. I think it was already contracted to be multiple movies.
Yeah. I also have one. Back to the Future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that works too.
And notice where most of these fall in when they were made.
You mean like also mentioned by Mark Beiser with Aliens and RNG Gaming with
Predator.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing how they were able to actually respect the franchises that were being established and actually handle the media and actually make successive good entries into a multi-installation franchise in the 80s and 90s and occasionally the early 2000s, and then it just went off the cliff and became much more difficult from there.
I was just going to mention that one too, the RNG gaming. Terminator 2. I'd argue one of the best movies ever made.
I would say that Terminator 2 has one of the distinctions that very few movies can say, where the sequel was better than the original.
I agree.
I'm torn on that though.
The first one was good. It's not by a huge margin, but me personally, I enjoyed Terminator 2 more than the original Terminator.
You see here, this is the issue here. Terminator 2 is good, but I don't think it would be good without Terminator 1. As in, the success of Terminator 2 being predicated on Terminator 1 and the things that it set up in that movie.
I will agree with you on that, but it's rare that your sequel in that manner, especially with the amount of time between the first one and the second one, and the second still being marginally by some, but still better than the original. First one was good, 2 was just that little bit better.
Yeah, the first one set it up, the second one just knocked it down.
Yeah, it's rare that you have that, especially when you consider it was, right around a decade between the two movies?
Yeah, something like that, which didn't hurt.
No, and that's another thing. Hollywood, stop assuming the audience is fucking stupid and retarded. Yes, there are a lot of people out there who are, but don't dumb shit down to a point where you lose the ability to tell a good story.
Which is where you have shit like, say, Arrival, where they don't dumb it down. It's still a really good story.
I really enjoyed the Arrival movie.
It's fucking great.
Yeah, it is.
Actually,
Had this kind of 2001 feel to it.
It doesn't try to. It doesn't try to dumb it down. It doesn't try to tell a story outside of its own pace.
The only thing I kind of disliked about it was that the obvious plot ending was kind of obvious. Too obvious.
It's still that. I'm not sure you could actually tell that in a better way and not have it be as obvious. I will say this though, just looking at the chat. Since Mark Bison mentioned Hot Garbage, Hot Shots 2.
Yeah. You know what? I would put Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2 on equal footing.
They are both great, but I actually like the second one better as well.
For me, they're too close to call.
They both have their qualities. The second one does have Rowan Atkinson though.
I love the fact that they turned this. Was it the commander of the aircraft carrier into the president?
Oh, no. He was the wing commander.
Oh, wing commander, yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
As if I could tell the difference.
Well,
Did you know that that actor is actually the father of Jeff Bridges?
Yeah. Well, not just Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, and Bo
Bridges
yeah,
too. Now, actually, I'm pretty sure The three of them have been in a movie together. I just can't remember which one.
It's not the Big Lebowski.
A good movie, though, but... Oh, EMP...
It's even better if you see it in context. When you compare it to the earlier Coen Brothers movies, this is already like the third or fourth movie in a row where they kill off Steve Buscemi.
You know, there are some actors who are just exceptionally killable. And Buscemi is one of them.
Yeah, and the one before that was Fargo, you know, he ended up in the wood chipper.
Yeah.
But Buscemi is still a really fucking good actor.
Well, and that's the thing is, a good death scene is difficult to do. But, just like we're about to kill the stream, there is one actor, above all others, that has mastered the death scene.
Is it Sean Bean?
Yes!
I think that we should, just for the sake of it, start calling him Sim Bowden. Just to fuck with shit.
Us mess with things that way? Never.
No, that's a bad idea. If you do that on purpose, you will end up being turned into a bagpipe.
It's gonna be fine.
Well, for some people, that's the closest they could get to a blowjob anyways.
But just with everything here, with all of those good movies, with every good movie that's actually come as a sequel there, all of them have followed in the footsteps with the same soul as the first one. None of them has really tried to fuck with the first one in such a way that it ignores the first one.
What the fuck? There was just so my new apartment is opposing a graveyard, right? Somebody just drove his motorcycle across the graveyard. What the fuck? It's 10 p.m.
Did they do it fast?
No.
Where is Nicolas Cage?
Isn't physically?
Because it might have been him.
Well, had it been quick, it could have either been the quick or the dead.
Remember, today he's not gonna jump over 15 buses. He said he's gonna jump over 6 Blackhawk helicopters.
With the rotors on.
And also over the bees.
Oh. Yeah, there's another fascinatingly memeable actor there. How does he find those roles? Do people come up with the most fucked up thing that they can think of just to see if he would do it, knowing that he's gonna say yes?
Maybe.
I mean, it also helps, the fact helps that he's the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola. At least as a career starter.
Yeah, but he tried to... I will give him this. He did try to avoid that being possibly used as a reason why he got accepted to certain roles, which is why he went with the stage name Cage. But... yeah, people are gonna talk. People are gonna know.
Given that, though...
If you think about it, it's actually the complete opposite as to what Charlie Sheen did.
But with that, and just looking at Nicolas Cage, it's kind of funny that one of the people that he was acting against, where Cage was being the more insane one, Cage was actually the one that overall had the, let's say, less fucking retarded career in face of against John Travolta. Because overall, just looking from Face Off forward, well, and before that too, Nicolas Cage has overall been a, let's say, weird kind of character. Half weird in his private life too, but just weird. And then you have Travolta, where everything fucking there has just been, oh dear fucking lord.
Yeah, how do you even describe Travolta's career when you actually try to look back at it and his methodology?
It's just been fucking weird. I mean, he's almost gotten to the point of having a Steven Seagal effect.
I mean, Travolta's career, it's kind of like 3 different eras, I would say. It's like the early disco kind of crap, which, you know, I don't like at all. Just not my thing. And then there's like 10 years or so where he didn't do anything. Followed by, you know, the middle years, Pulp Fiction, for example. And then the later ones where he almost exclusively always plays a villain. Stuff like the, what was it called? That subway hostage movie. Pelham 123.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one.
The original was better, but it was fine, I guess.
Look, actually,
And Operation Swordfish.
go to Google and look up John Travolta. When you look at him, when you look, actually, let me do it like this.
Yeah, just go ahead and screen share it.
Oh god, this is gonna be bad, isn't it?
Oh, this is going to be fucking glorious. In a kind of bad way.
Tomato?
I want to present a window. I want to present this window. There we are.
Is it still a Scientology?
Just tell me when you can see the whole thingy.
I can see the
Yeah,
screen just fine.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay. So, look at this with all the pictures of Travolta. John Travolta looks like when you have a game developer who's made a fuck ton of different characters, but he's been too lazy to make different faces.
Yeah, wow. Hey, maybe that's where EA Sports got the idea from.
But just look at all this shit. And the worst thing is, they all look, or all these fucking images look like they could potentially be siblings or related somehow. Even this motherfucker right here, where he looks, let's just say, odd, and this thing here. It's like you take the Baldwins and put them next to one another. He looks like fucking Wei Yun here.
You see, when you take the Baldwins and you put them next to one another, you really gotta make sure that there's no revolver anywhere around them.
At least around one of them.
Wait. Are you sure you trust Travolta around a revolver either?
Probably more than the
that one
Baldwins.
movie.
I mean, when it comes to track records, he's better off.
That we know, at least.
Let's hope so.
No, just with all of this, it looks like we've taken a whole fucking family of different Travoltas. Although this could actually be a fucking prestige situation where they're actually triplets. And they all just have their own time in the spotlight, acting in different movies under the same name.
You know, that could explain the disparity in his overall career arc and how it has so many redemption arcs.
Also, sometimes why he appears to be left-handed all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
Never knew that.
I just, I just find it fucking funny because this doesn't even look like John Travolta. It looks
Oh.
like someone's just taken the face and slapped it on someone else.
Oh, no. RNGD Gaming has it right. John Travolta died. I would even say that John Travolta died in the early 80s. But the Church of Scientology managed to clone him and keep cloning him to keep it going.
No, that's Schwarzenegger. It's the plot of the movie The Sixth Day.
Well, there's... Hey, wait a minute. Go to that picture above that one.
That one?
Yeah. And it's funny you mention Schwarzenegger after we make that comment, and that's the picture that pops up?
Yeah, but okay, looking at this, we have Schwarzenegger. He looks like he would actually be one of the bold ones here. Or actually, looking at him, this part of the face looks like it's been copy pasted in onto someone else's face or
To
onto
be
someone
honest,
else's head.
to be honest,
real life
let's
face
be
off.
honest. Wait a second. I gotta make this joke. When you're saying that the face was cut and pasted, well, considering how plastic surgery is done in Hollywood, it probably was cut at some point.
Most likely.
So you're at least 50% right. And I'm not sure if they sew you back together if they used glue, but paste might make sense.
And surgical glue is more of a paste.
But compare that to then looking at these, where it looks like it's actually his fucking face. Even this. Well, kinda. We have such a fucking disparity in just the looks department there. And then you have where did it go? This, where he looks like what's the fucking name of that guy?
Gonna need a bit more than that.
The fucking mean gay porn guy.
Jack Murphy?
No, the one from Muscle Roll Ultimate.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. I'm kind of glad I'm drawing a blank on that one.
Yeah, the motherfucker died. How was his fucking face? Let me see here.
You know, the keywords you've said would probably yield the most interesting search results on Google. I'm not going to do it.
I was going to bring it up on screen. Let's see. What's his face? Billy something.
Wait, you talking about the,
Billy Harrington.
Was he the, infomercial guy?
Isn't that Billy Mays?
Well, Billy Mays was one of them.
Yeah, he's still selling vacuum cleaners.
It's amazing
And
what
because
recorded media can do.
We don't want to actually get banned. Fuck. Copy link.
You know, EMP, that could... A younger version. I could kind of see it.
I don't think it actually got that old.
Well, that just solidifies it. The Church of Scientology is knocking people off and replacing them with clones and passing them off as other people. God, every time I see that picture come up with him and that fucking mustache with the nearly shaved head that goes down to his chin, whoever thought that style of facial hair was ever a good idea?
Earl?
Yes. Yeah, Earl.
No, see, I'd say it's not a bad facial hairstyle.
I mean, I know at least one type of mustache that's worse.
Which would that be?
Well, take a guess.
If you're talking about one that's about a tenth of the width, some would say that's better.
Let's just call it the Chaplain. Because that's definitely the person that's known for that style.
One of.
It does go under the mask better.
And that that one, yeah, Charlie Chaplin did use that one as well. Oh, where is that actually from?
It's from which one is it? It's the different which one is it? It's one of those fucking movies. Muskatnas Hamilla.
Oh, wow. The things you can find on the internet. Hey, there's Charlie Chaplin down there. But, with that, wow. We've gone down a weird road with this one. Shocking as always.
Derailing like it's 1998?
Yes.
Alright.
Derailing kind of like this.
Yeah. What last words do you fuckers have to say?
Please stop ruining the fucking movies with your bullshit.
If you want to watch proper Trek, watch the Orville.
Or Galaxy Quest.
Oh, and screw Alex Kurtzman.
You know, I can concur with all of that, and thank you everyone for showing up. We, as of right now, will be back on air in about maybe 3.5 hours, maybe 4. I haven't quite decided yet, so...
Doing Veterinarians Week partly?
Yeah, I'm kicking the idea around. It really depends, because I do have to drive out for work tomorrow, so I have some other stuff that I got to get done before I can leave. So it really is going to depend on what I actually get done in the next few hours and whether or not I feel like going on air again. But as of right now, I am planning to. If the plans change, some type of announcement at some sort of place you can get information from me is going to be posted there. Be it the Discord server. I might put it on Twitter, if I remember that Twitter is even a thing worth using. So probably not.
Worth using.
I know. There's such a broad definition and usage on that one. I mean, it sometimes serves its purpose, but yeah, we'll see what time we go live again. Keep an eye out. If you have the alert set up, you'll know as soon as I make the event, and then you'll know. We'll see you all later.
Bye.